Yeah, a little bit bigger.
All right. February 10th, 2026, right at 6 p.m., Town of Selma Town Council meeting number 2 for February. Here in the Jernigan building. As always, we have some special guests with us this evening. We like to start our meetings off with an invocation. And for that, today, we have Elder Nate Williams in the house. Christ Fellowship, Church of God, Fox. Elder, come on up to the podium. Elder Nate Williams is a retired military veteran.
Yes.
Recent retired. Olek GE in Goldsboro, North Carolina.
That's correct.
Licensed as a minister in 2000. He has served in various roles, including leadership development director, men's ministry director, finance advisor, praise and worship leader, Church of God. Elder Williams and his wife Philip are active members of the Selma Ministry Association. They have 3 adult children, 6 grandchildren.
That's good.
Anything else you'd like to say?
It's been a wonderful afternoon, all day long. I'm just glad that God chose to let me live today. I was supposed to be out there golfing, but I spent the day with my wife, which meant spending money and shopping. But still, it was a great day, and I'm still here. So it's just wonderful to be here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. If everyone would please stand. If you don't mind, sir, whenever you are ready.
Father, we want to thank you for gathering us here because there's a purpose for everybody who is in this house. Whether their mouths are moving or not, we know their hearts are speaking. And we just thank you, Father, that this association, this putting together of people, this fellowship is for purpose. So we ask that you would bless everything that goes on today. All the things that were planned to happen, let it happen. We'll get out of your way because you're greater than we are. We just thank you that we'll be able to settle things as a family, that we'll be able to see Selma grow and continue to develop and to get better and better every day. So we can have sunny, wonderful days just like this one, with smiles on our faces, because we'll have the joy of the Lord down deep in our hearts. Bless everyone who's here today. Let everything be done in decency and order, and we'll be so careful to give your name the praise and thank you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for that. Another special guest, if you will remain standing, that we have here today is Stephanie Itzek. Come on up to the front if you're in the audience. Come on up. Stephanie is an 8th grader at Selma Middle School. She's a proud member of the National Junior Honor Society and enjoys math. Stephanie is 14 years old and has 3 siblings, 2 dogs, 2 loving parents. Her favorite color is purple, and she loves listening to music. One of her favorite foods is Chinese food. They have a nice little Asian food. In the future, she hopes to become an engineer or a police officer. Gotcha. Come on up, come on up. Stand right over here. We'll turn to the flag, but if you do want to say something to the crowd first, you're welcome to do so.
Hello, everybody. Good evening. God bless you. And I'm just thankful because I'm here, and I'm really proud of myself and the people who had helped me, and because of God, because I believe in Him, and that's all. Thank you.
We will call your name.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Okay. That brings us to taking a look at our agenda. We've got, I know, a couple of, a subtraction and addition to make. I believe we do need to remove the special use permit for 112 South Pollock Street. That has not yet gone to the planning board, and I do believe we do want to have zoning planning matters go through the planning board first. So removal of 7B, that'll bring everything up one letter below B. And then in addition, a 12B, us taking a look at a Parks and Rec Advisory Board application. Staff, do we have anything else? Council, do we have any other additions or subtractions we want to make to this here agenda? With that, do I have a motion to approve the agenda with those amendments?
So moved.
Ooh, we'll get that second, Mayor Pro Tem. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
We have ourselves an agenda, and that brings us to open forum citizens requests. We've got 4 fine folks signed up for that. So let's see who we've got. We've got Mr. Ron Hester first on the list. Come on up, name and address for the record, and then 3 minutes to tell us what's on your mind.
Well, thank you. My name's Ron Hester, address 908 Dixie Drive, Selma. And I appreciate the opportunity to speak. And I wrote it down because I ramble and can't remember what I'm going to say. So at last month's meeting, a police officer presented a report to the council. After the officers finished speaking, the mayor said, "I want the police to start writing more tickets." The statement concerned me. We have a trained police chief whose job is to lead the department. Comments like that made publicly can come across as undermining that role of the chain of command. Additionally, I want to address our experience with the Parks and Rec Advisory Board. My wife and I both served on the board and ultimately resigned after it became clear that the town was struggling to retain staff and the advisory board members were being relied upon to help fill operational gaps. Advisory boards are meant to advise, not replace staff, and that situation was not what we agreed to when we volunteered. These concerns are not personal, they're about accountability. And my question to the council is this: what steps will be taken to ensure clear boundaries, transparency, and respect for professional roles across town leadership, departments, and advisory boards? Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Next up, we have Mr. Jim Lawrence. Name and address, home address for the record. 3 minutes.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
A little bit like Mr. Hester, I have to write my things down. I forget sometimes. My name is Jim Lawrence, 308 North 2nd Street, Smithfield, North Carolina, and I'm appearing on behalf of Councilwoman Susan Watson and to the council members and the mayor. I'm writing to you in writing on behalf of Councilwoman Susan Watson concerning the alleged censure hearing held last Thursday evening, February the 5th, 2026. After reviewing the resolution of censure, I would advise you that although Ms. Watson acknowledges the alleged hearing, she does not acknowledge the legality of the censure, and does she acknowledge the right of the mayor or the council to direct or mandate her not to communicate with any town employee or personnel. Ms. Watson is a duly elected councilwoman of the town of Selma. Part of her duties involve the gathering of information and interaction with and from town personnel and employees in the furtherance of performing her duties as a councilwoman. Not only does the order not to communicate or converse with town personnel inhibit her right to perform her duties, it further chills her right to free speech as provided by the Constitution of the United States and of North Carolina. After receiving your letter of notice of censure from the mayor, and prior to the hearing, I formally requested what specific allegations of wrongdoing were and requested a copy of the investigation that was referenced in the letter. Ms. Watson received no information, nor did I, pursuant to my request. I have reviewed the censure resolutions that passed and maintained that the hearing conducted was without due process and without giving Ms. Watson notice of what specific allegations were against her as presented to the council by the mayor. Nor did the hearing give her a chance to present evidence and respond to any allegations. A censure is to be imposed upon a person who violates the duties of their office or violates the rules of the governing body. The mayor's allegations and assertions that certain rules had been violated with no evidence whatsoever of how they were violated, when they were violated, or what ordinance or rule that her actions violated, renders the board proceedings null and void and without due process. Due process is necessary in this instance, and that the mayor and the council are directing her to cease a lawful right to communicate with town employees or personnel, as well as infringing on and trampling on her right to free speech. I hereby request that you withdraw the censure resolution dated February the 2nd, 2026. I'm hereby given formal notice that any attempt to enforce any directives in this alleged censure resolution will be addressed by whatever legal remedies Ms. Watson might have available against the town of Selma, council members, or the mayor in his official and individual capacity. It concerns me,
Mr. Lawrence, time is up, but thank you very much for the information.
it does concern me that you had a censure hearing
Lawrence,
on Thursday,
Time is
February
up.
the 5th.
Thank you very much for the information.
Thank you. But signed the censure on February the 2nd.
Mr. Don Barker, you in the audience? Come on up, name and address for the record, and then you get 3 minutes.
All right. Good evening, Council and Mayor. Don Barker, 1210 Dixie Drive, Soma. I got it all written down too, because I would just ramble. I would like to speak on an email that I had received from the mayor, and I'm going to read the email. Good morning, Mr. Barker. I'm writing to inform you that I will be recommending to the Selma Town Council that you be removed from the Town of Selma Parks and Rec Advisory Board. While I appreciate your efforts on the Parks and Rec Advisory Board, I do not believe your membership on the board has produced appropriate results for our Parks and Rec programs. Though I will be recommending that the Selma Town Council remove you from the Parks and Rec Advisory Board, the council may decline to do so. If you feel it is so appropriate to tender your resignation as a Parks and Rec Advisory Board member prior to our February regular council meeting 1 on February 5th, 2026, no recommendations will be made concerning your continued membership. Thank you for your willingness to serve our community. Sincerely, Byron James McAllister, Mayor, Town of Selma. When I first read this email, I was very much caught off guard because I was not aware that I had not produced the appropriate results. I have never been approached concerning what I was doing or not doing in my role on the board. Have appropriate results ever been conveyed to me? No. Just the bylaws by which the advisory board did not define appropriate results and comments made from town council at the meetings that they present. And appropriate results have never been brought up during comments. Should have read town council meetings that they attended. In fact, the last time that Byron spoke to the board, he commented on all the good work we had done and for us to keep up the good work. I sent a follow-up email to that I received from Byron about his recommendation for my removal from the board, which said, would you have a specific reason for which I have done or not done? What would the appropriate results have been? I did not receive any comments back. Is this a sign of good leadership? I don't think so. In all my years of working and volunteering, I have never had anyone stab me in the back like Byron McAllister has done. A true leader would have called up or set up a meeting to discuss the direction the council would like to see the advisory board going, make recommendations, and work together. A coward just sends an email and won't engage. True leadership fosters collaboration and growth. It does not try to silence those with differing opinions. I have been a member of the advisory board for over 4 years. I've been a chairperson for 1.5, and not once has Byron approached me about not producing appropriate results or providing good, solid recommendations to council or staff. We have not had consistent leadership in the Parks and Rec Department since I arrived in Selma. Who could be responsible for that? I think that Byron McAllister has had more than enough time to
Mr.
find
Barker,
someone.
that is time. I appreciate your comments. Thank you for being here. And we've got Diana Powell. Name and address for the record in 3 minutes.
Diana Powell, 528 Watson Road in Selma, former employee of the town of Selma, unfortunately. I'm here in support of Councilmember Susan Watson. I was really upset to hear what had happened, and I felt the need to come in. I'm gonna ramble a little bit. I also wrote something down. Throughout my time serving as an employee, I was very disappointed to have witnessed a lot of unfair practices, not only towards the citizens of Selma, but also our town employees at the hands of the mayor. No one here makes decisions without his call, and we all know that. I have witnessed it personally, and I will swear on a Bible. I might get a little emotional. On April 25th, 2024, I actually submitted a grievance to the League of Municipalities for sexual harassment and unfair practices against your now town manager, Philip McDaniel, and his wife for nepotism, among other things. The town is non-compliant, if you all must know, and must address that as soon as possible with nepotism. This is in our policy. If I'm rambling, look it up. It is per the League of Municipalities that they instructed that he was not to serve town manager. But this was 2024, and here we are. In regards to Councilmember Susan Watson, I'm gonna read a brief statement. This action is not leadership, Mayor. It's retaliation. You're moving to remove a well-respected council member, not for misconduct, but for dissent. That violates both the spirit and the letter of our policies, which exist to protect this council and exactly this kind of abuse of power. You've claimed this removal follows procedure. It does not. Policies require transparency, evidence, and due process. What we have instead are shifting explanations, closed-door decisions and sessions, and a pattern of targeting those council members and citizens alike who ask inconvenient questions. A government that punishes disagreement and is not serving the public. It is protecting itself. This council member earned the trust of this community. Removing her without cause sends a clear message: comply or be silent. I oppose this action, and I call on this council to stand for policy, fairness, and the people you were elected to serve, not fear, not lies, and not unchecked power. I am very disappointed in you all, especially you, because you stood silent. At least I got to see Councilmember Overly during my time at Town Hall. Susan Watson, Scarborough, I feel personally, I really do love you. I think that this man has taken very big advantage of you. And I am sorry that you didn't pay more attention to your employees. You should have been there for them.
3 minutes are up. Thank you very much for your comment.
And I have evidence if anybody would like
Just
to see it.
make sure that the record is clear, Councilwoman Watson has not been removed from this board. She is still a council member. All right. Thank you all for the comments. Very much appreciative. No discussions, presentations. That brings us into public hearings. We got a land exchange to talk about. What we got? Who's taking that away?
Let me do it. Yeah, we got it.
Yeah. So this is a land exchange that we made a resolution for previously, or is this something brand new as far as we're concerned?
Mayor, it's the Raylene Jessup property and the Will property. is what
Well
it is.
property.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
And
So do we have
Page
a,
2 and 3, excuse me, page 3 resolutions in the agenda.
thank you very much. Do we have a motion to open the public hearing related to land exchange for parcel number 14N99031A?
So move.
Second to Councilman Whitley. Any discussion? All those in favor? All right. We've got a public hearing open.
Mayor, briefly, and again, on behalf of staff, page, I believe, 3, the resolution is there. And again, it's the small parcel of property which is beside a pump station right across the road that's been there a while. The property owner's been paying tax on it many, many years. Then you look at her parcel, which has just been posted up. Right in the middle of her property is the remnants of a old well site area that was actually carved out a long time ago. So the process was, in terms of marketability of the property, to consider a land swap. And the interesting fact of this is, you never really know till you get into it, when you pull the tax statement of the parcel for this land, it's just under 25, it's rounded around 24 or so per acre. And then when you actually look at a parcel right by this, it's listed as 25,000. So the value of the land is very close in terms of the value. I was a little surprised about that. So again, in terms of a fair exchange, it benefits not only her for removing a property right in the middle of her parcel, which the town has determined we have no use for anymore, no utilities, nothing there. Then we pick up the acreage that's across the street beyond the pump station, which is right there next to the roadway. The resolution says that once you approve it, if council does approve it, it throws it back to staff. We'll get the deed swap done. It authorizes our interim manager to execute it. The town deed in exchange for the deed from the property owner, which is Miss Jessup, but it's her LLC that owns it.
And just for clarity, so where the one is pointing is the current piece that is Town of Selma.
It actually is like a little snake going right in the middle. It's a very small piece there, yes.
There it is.
It's the L with the square, that's it.
And then the sliver that we're talking about that would be swapped. is
You got
this
it.
Right here.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, rock and roll.
It cleans it up.
Public hearing is open. Would anybody like to speak as part of this public hearing related to this land swap? Once, twice. All right, council, any questions, comments, concerns? Okay, do I have a motion to close the public hearing related to the land swap of this piece of property?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Hearing closed. Do we just need a motion to adopt the resolution?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do I have a motion adopting the resolution authorizing exchange of property number 20250210A?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Land swap resolved. Very cool. Very cool. All right, we're knocking off that special use permit. That brings us to B. We've got an annexation to look at. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing related to annexation 2025-0280, parcel number 140010008?
So move.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Public hearing is open. Who's taking it away?
Good evening. I have a request for annexation from 1395 West Noble Street. The applicant is Amanzi Banilla, and this is a 0.37 acre R20 parcel that's located right on the edge of city limits. The applicant is requesting a contiguous annexation of this parcel into the town of Selma to have in-town utility rates for water and to remove their septic tank to connect to the sewer. Staff sees this contiguous annexation as consistent with the land use plan and our code. I ask the board to consider a motion to accept all testimony and evidence into the record and a motion to approve or deny this annexation.
Public hearing is still open. Do I have anybody who'd like to speak on this annexation? That hearing none, council, any comments, questions, concerns?
So you're actually talking about item C, right, which is now B, right?
Yes.
And can you repeat how many acres?
So this is a 0.37 acre property.
0.37.
0.37.
Misunderstood you the first time. Thank you.
It's all good.
Anything else? Comments, questions, concerns? All right, with that, do I have a motion to close this legislative hearing?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, hearing's closed. Dalton, experiment with this a little bit. Is this something we can move down to consent? Cover all the requests in the consent? Nope.
Yeah.
So with the legislative hearing, as a note, and public hearings in general, those will not be put on consent, right?
Probably a good idea.
Yeah,
And what other, we'll talk.
absolutely. So quasi judicial hearings, legislative hearings, those public hearings where we're asking for public input and we're stopping in the middle. We had a conversation about moving things down to consent previously. Those are gonna be for more general, basic, we're just voting up or down items. Things that have multiple pieces and where we're asking for public input, we're gonna leave them to be voted on individually. So just as we're adjusting how we manage our agenda, that's for everybody as we're going along, okay? Public hearing is closed. Chip, what do you need from us?
Mayor, I believe, and staff did a good job of putting the, adoption of the ordinance, I believe is what you need, approval of the annexation and adoption of the ordinance.
Okay, very good, very good. Do I have a motion to approve the annexation and adopt the ordinance related to this annexation?
So move.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that's one annexation down. It looks like we've got one to go. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing related to annexation 2025-0290, parcel number 14L 10014H?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Got ourselves a public hearing open. Take it away.
Yes, so I have a petition for voluntary annexation from the applicant AAP Enterprises LLC. This is it's unaddressed lot off of US Highway 70A. We recently annexed the two parcels that were on the other side of this, and it is now contiguous to those, along with across the street being the West Providence and Trinity Springs area of Eastfield. The applicant is requesting a contiguous annexation of this parcel into the town of Selma to have in-town utilities for future businesses that may happen on that island. This is a 1.365 acre parcel that is zoned IB Interstate Business. Staff find this contiguous annexation consistent with the land use plan and code. We ask the council to consider a motion to approve or deny this annexation and to accept all testimony and evidence into record.
So just for reference, this is land near the roundabout going into Eastfield off of 70. Anybody else like to comment as part of the public hearing related to this annexation? Council, questions, comments, concerns?
Yeah, page 29 of 49, or 26 of 49. Part 8, is there no property owners there?
No, they signed B, which is property owned by a limited liability company. And I provided the state secretary report that shows that Anita Parker is the listed agent for this LLC.
And let me clear up the question, because Councilman Overby has had this question a couple of times. The way the document is set up for signature, it says if you are a certain type of entity, you sign here. If you're a certain type of entity, you sign here. If you're this type of entity, you sign here. So some of the boxes are left blank because of what type of entity is particularly signing for the document related to the annexation. Now, granted, if we want to clean it up a bit and make it more of a checkbox document and then just have one line to sign, that might make it easier for us all to process. But at the same time, with this, the way the document is set up, there are a lot of blank boxes depending on what type of entity you are.
Yeah, I would like to add that in the future I've received your comments and I will make sure that people add NA for these other ones, just so it's clear.
Yeah,
And
because I see a lot that sometimes
It's
there's
blank.
nothing there, nowhere, so I don't know where it's good or where it's bad.
Of course.
And again, let's go back and seriously look at adjusting the document because this is a lot of paper for not having to fill out most of the paper. Okay? And I understand where the councilman's coming from. But we can clean it up. For the meantime, of course, do encourage the NA, but let's shrink it down. All right. Any other comments, discussions about this piece of property for this public hearing? All right, do I have a motion to close the public hearing related to this annexation?
So moved.
Second.
All right, any discussion otherwise? All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, and we've got an approval of the annexation and an adoption of an ordinance related to it?
Yes, sir.
Do I have a motion to approve the annexation related to parcel number 14L10014H and adopt the ordinance related to that annexation?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Cool. Taylor, fantastic. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. All right, I think that brings us into a couple of business items. Electric line extension policy fee schedule updates. Who's got that?
Mr. Mayor, George Shook is out of the family, meeting tonight. Mr. Johnson, Mr. Billy, this is a policy we've been working on for 6 months, Rick. More than that. It's been a while. And the basis of it is covering costs.
Mr. Billy, take it away.
Yes, sir. Thank you for the opportunity. As our community continues to grow, we're seeing increased requests for new electric service, both residential and commercial, in order to serve customers reliably while also being responsible stewards of the town's electric system and finances. It is important that we have a clear, consistent policy in place. The purpose of this line extension policy is to establish fair and uniform guidelines for extending electric service, define the responsibilities of both town and the customer/developer, ensure that system expansion is financially sustainable, protect existing ratepayers from bearing the cost of extensions. This approach allows us to support growth while maintaining the reliability of our electric infrastructure and the financial health of our utility. We have modeled this policy after industry best practices and policies used by similarly sized municipal electric systems. Our goal is not to discourage development, but to ensure that growth occurs in a way that is equitable for all customers. I respectfully request council's review and consideration for adoption of this electric line extension policy. Thank you.
Council, questions, comments, concerns?
Mr. Hewitt,
Yes, sir.
I see you signed off on it. Did you see anything?
We did. We were, yes, you would say heavily involved in the drafting, the initial. This is probably like version 4 or 5 of this thing. We had multiple sources who gave us information. The electricities, they were very helpful in providing some templates with it. So we tried to match it, sort of tailor it to what George and his department had asked for. So I believe, for the most part, it's a decent agreement. We did check it. It's used in other places. I think the only thing on the tail end, just as a reminder, it does require fee schedule amendments to sort of make it match. But other than that, we think it's a fairly decent agreement.
So is those fees high or
On
low?
the back, y'all have policy for, on the last page, if you don't have it, right, there's a fee schedule that would, as you, if you adopt this, come back to you next month and pass your fee schedule, but it gives a very basic, per foot or per lot, per unit, fee for each one.
And it looks
So
like
remember, this would be, you know, this is not for existing, this is for new construction or someone to add an addition to, right?
that's
So
page
if you had a,
41 to 49 for the schedule, right? That's what we're looking at.
yes, I'm sorry. If for example, if, you know, just like the, when y'all did system development fees a couple years ago, that they were only new stuff. If you had a house and you tore down and put two new ones up, that would be new, you know, because you're expanding, or in this part, we call it extending the lines.
So these figures actually for the new stuff?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
What do you think about the fees?
I'm okay.
It's good stuff. Anything else, council? All right. Do I have a motion to adopt this electric line extension policy?
So move.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Very cool. How did you let George trick you into this?
I bribed it a little bit.
Oh, man. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for your time.
Appreciate you. Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Internal code enforcement policy discussion. Very simply, we were brought internal code enforcement policy, I think December, November, from staff that I don't think necessarily aligns with getting code enforcement done at the proper clip that we need to. It gives a lot of wiggle room for what I would call, what is mentioned as discretion from folks versus let's follow the letter of the ordinance and the law as written down. So it is my recommendation that we rescind and disallow the use of the internal code enforcement policy that we approved a couple of months ago. Any comments?
Do we get to see one that was replaced it?
No, we have ordinances in place. So the ordinances are what I believe staff should go by versus an internal policy. They are laid out. This is what happens if you do this in your yard. This is the fee. This is how many times you can do it. This is what happens if you do it too many times. And the internal policy had some pieces in there that said, well, if we decide we want to give you a break, we can give you a break. And I think that's a slippery slope.
Is this in relation to the email that we received about operations and the adjustments to policies and procedures?
No, that is not, which email? Are you talking about the code enforcement grace period?
No, it's talking about, how complaints are gonna be handled and penalties and we work to hone our code enforcement operations. I suggest we make some adjustments to our procedures and policy to better address the code enforcement concerns and increase code enforcement efficiency. I suggest the following. Is this the things that we're talking about adopting in this conversation or?
No, we're not adopting it.
Okay, so what do we?
No, we're taking away an internal policy that was brought to us a couple of months ago. So the internal policy pretty much gave internal staff, again, discretion to go outside of what our ordinance said. Yeah.
When we get to this, I'd like to have a discussion about it, so I want to make sure they're not related.
Yeah, this is the code enforcement grace period that we're discussing probably as part of my report and recommendations. It's completely different.
Okay.
Yeah, completely. So with that, do I have a motion to rescind the code enforcement internal policy?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. What else do we have today? Oh, I think that brings us into reports and recommendations. We don't have any board reports or recommendations for this go round. Nothing moved to consent and nothing on consent. Council members' report and recommendations.
Go that way. We'll get back to you.
Sure.
Yeah.
Mayor Pro Tem, you want to start off?
Yes. Good evening, everybody. Got a good crowd here tonight, and I'm pleased to seeing that because we need the faces, we need the input. But I would like to say that we got a lot of things coming for the town of Selma, and it's coming pretty fast. And we treasure you guys' time coming out here to be with us. But what we don't want to do is keep you here for things that's unnecessary, because we have had these 3 and 4 hours meetings. But we have decided it doesn't take that long to get to gist of things. And another thing is that, we got people coming in, and we got the different type of people coming to this meeting. And we got people that want to be in the crowd. We got people that want something from the town. Then we got those true people. And I guess we got them here now because we got a crowd of people here, and I like this. because we figured if you sit here with us for the hour, hour and a half, you evidently must be interested in what's going on in the town of Selma. And that's my bottom line is, like I always said, I will say it, that we're here to not showboat, do a Jerry Springer. We're here to get on business of town of Selma. And in all these meetings you have here, the one common denominator that should tie us all together is Selma. If we're working for how to improve the town of Selma, we'll get along just fine. But I think it was stated one time is, if not trying to improve the town of Selma, this may not be the place for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Councilman Watson.
Well, I think the first thing I would say is if Joe were up here defending his character, I don't think he would consider it a Jerry Springer show. I was personally attacked, and it was unfounded and based on assumption, and that's all I'm going to say about that. So I appreciate people being here. I think it's time for people to speak out about the things that are happening in our town. And I don't know if Miss Powell is here. Is that Diana? I'm sorry she left. I would love for her to know that I appreciated her coming forward. That took a lot of courage. You know, everybody has a public side and a private side. And when you're in a work environment, you're usually with your work family a whole lot longer than you're with your family at home. I'm sure people at the office saw a different side of me and Chris in the office than they see out in the public. That's just normal. And employees are not perfect, but nobody should come to an office and feel threatened or unsafe or have things said to them that are not acceptable. That is just uncalled for, and I am so sorry if anyone has experienced that here. And I really appreciate her coming forward. The other thing I would like to do is just read the last statement that my attorney was not allowed to read. And it just says, "It concerns me that you had a censure hearing on Thursday, February the 5th, but signed the censure resolution on February the 2nd, prior to hearing anything from Susan Watson and prior to any vote." Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Watson. Councilman Manis.
Well, as usual, it's so good to see everybody. And I wanted to back up to code enforcement. I'm very excited because code enforcement now is going to be a lot stronger and a lot stricter. A lot of my neighbors, even me riding around, you know, we want Selma to be the best. I would like for my neighbors to do what they could. We can only do so much. Sometimes you don't have that money to put that gold driveway in. But otherwise, if we can just keep our properties looking good, it's just better for all of Selma, for people who want to come, eat, go to the Rudy. And with that, I'll say I hope you all have a good week. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Overby.
I will say to you that I hope you know this board's responsibility is to support our people here and the citizens in Selma. That's why we own this board. Our responsibility is to listen to what our citizens want and see if we can provide what they need. And I hope we continue to do that. Thank you.
Councilman. With that, I do want us to take a look at our special event policy very soon. Polar Bear Run was awesome. 195 signed up. I think maybe 130 actually ran the whole thing. That's a lot of people for a polar bear run. Well more than we've ever had to be running in the middle of the cold. But that also means that the responsibility for managing these things has gotten significant. It's people running through the streets. That's lots of streets that have to be blocked off. There were a lot of cars that were coming through the area at the time that need to be managed by Town of Selma staff. We do need to look very carefully at how we manage our special events going forward, because there is a whole lot more happening in Selma, North Carolina. There are a whole lot more people in Selma, North Carolina. And that means that we need more organization, more safety. Quite frankly, we need more discipline in our activities to make sure that we pull these things off with the success that we have in the past. So, as part of that, certainly we need to look at how we manage blocking off streets, what we block streets off for, and again, make sure we are adequately assessing the resources it takes to do such a thing. As we do have more organizations coming in, quite frankly, as we get more popular as a town, we have a lot of people regularly asking us to do events in the middle of our town now. I think we have 2 or 3 requests pending right now for events that people want to put on in the town of Selma. We're gonna have to carefully consider how we manage those things. Next piece, speaking of events, and of course this has a lot to do with Parks and Rec Advisory Board, we do have an application for the Parks and Rec Advisory Board from Mr. David Good, who lives 116 Thompson Drive. I think our Parks and Rec Advisory Board is down to bare bones right now, so I think it's appropriate for us to go ahead and get some folks on it and see if we can get going with Parks and Rec. But again, Mr. David Good, 116 Thompson Drive, you do have his application before you. I ask that this board consider going ahead and appointing Mr. David Good to the Parks and Rec Advisory Board. Do I have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Do we have seats open before we, if I say resigned or removed the other 2?
We did have one.
We had seats open already. Okay, so now we've lost 2 and we're adding 1 back.
And there's 3 seats open now, right?
3 seats are.
And 2 people seated. Is that right?
2 people seated, yeah.
Okay.
Got a motion and a second on the table. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Got ourselves a Parks and Rec Advisory Board member. Thank you, Mr. Good, for being willing to serve. Code enforcement. I wanted to touch on this as well. I had made a note a long time ago that said code enforcement, trash, and the Red Sea. Love the fantastic story of this group of folks that, again, standing on the side of a sea. They're running away from persecution. The sea gets parted. They cross this sea. They get to dry land. They go for a little while. And there are some folks in the crowd that say, hey, let's go back. It's what we have in this world often. Change is hard. I know it. I understand it. We all understand how hard change is. And the more drastic the change, the more push and pull you get. Code enforcement has been some significant push and pull over the last 2 years because we've actually started doing code enforcement. People are shocked. But yes, you do actually get fined. You do actually have to clean up your property. You can't allow buildings to fall in on themselves and have them sitting in the middle of the town of Selma. And it's been a rough adjustment, quite frankly. And understandable. 10, 12 years of not doing any of it is a drastic change to doing it all. So I do suggest that we look at another code enforcement violation appeals process for violations that are received before or ongoing violations from before January 1 of 2026. Because again, we did it once because we understood the initial period was, hey, it was a gut punch for a lot of people. Now that we've had some invoices that have gone out over the end of the last year and people have looked back and said, hey, we didn't know this, we didn't know that. I do think we have room for grace up through January 1, 2026. So I would like us to go ahead and polish up a process that will hopefully end in front of the Board of Adjustment in May at some point in time, and certainly approach the Board of Adjustment and have a conversation about how to work through this process as well. But I do suggest we really get some guidelines again for another process to show some grace on code enforcement violations, fees, and fines. So is there anybody opposed to that? Let me just make sure we're clear.
But I guess we need to make sure that we stipulate that as of, let's see, the next 2026, it's no more mercy.
Yes, and let me make sure we're clear. If you've got a brand new case after January 1, 2026, your remedy, which is in our ordinances, is the Board of Adjustment. And there's a fee to go in front of the Board of Adjustment, and that fee must be paid. So that is in our ordinances. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about how you get remedy from a code enforcement violation. But this process, from a legislative standpoint, might give some relief to those who have received a violation prior to January 1, 2026. But I do believe we do need to draw that line solid at this year.
I don't believe it should be solid. There should be a little room in there because when someone dies and there's no family there, there's not much you can do about that. So all that stuff's gonna pile up in the front yards. So when they come in and clean the house out and stuff. So I think that when a person their household is no longer occupied by the owners anymore, then there's gotta be a reason to have a leniency there to help those people get it cleaned up.
I'm not sure that we've really actually come across a case where actually live-in homeowners have passed away and the house has become problematic. Now, we've seen lots of instances of folks that have houses that don't live here. But I can't say that we've actually seen that case. Now, would you like to carve out some
We
type
just
of,
had one on Pecan Drive. That's one down on Pecan Drive.
but I'm saying to where they were getting code enforcement violations. And with that being said, if we do want to carve out in ordinances something that allows for wiggle room upon death, we should certainly discuss. I mean, I understand what you're saying, but I also think that if we do not lay very clear in black and white what is supposed to be done and how code enforcement is handled, we open up ourselves to, quite frankly, what we opened up ourselves to for a decade plus, and that's a town that's falling apart.
So if you get a violation, right now, the way it's set up, if you get a violation and you want to dispute it, you have to pay a fee to go complain. Is that what
Yes.
I'm hearing? What is the fee?
I think the Board of Adjustment fee is 500? 500.
It's too much. Way too much.
No due process.
It's
So,
ridiculous.
yes, it's $500 to go to the Board of Adjustment.
And I hear them and I understand what they feel because I feel the same way. It's like if you get
Hey, whoa, in the gallery, please quiet. Thank you.
if you get a fine and your fine is $200, then in order to complain about it, you've got to pay $500 to go have a hearing. That makes very little sense to me.
And
So-
let's keep in mind that hearing could be 3 minutes.
So, and let me make sure I'm clear. If you go through the hearing and we find that there was some error on our part with the actual enforcement of the code, is the Board of Adjustment fee refunded? Do we know?
That would have to be come from a recommendation from the Board of Adjustment.
To refund it? Ah. So there is remedy for that as well.
It sounds like a lot to me. I just, I kind of knew it existed, but I just wasn't clear on how that worked. And I think we really need to take a long, hard look at that.
And you
Where-
make an excellent point. I'm sorry, after you.
Yeah, I just feel like we're telling our citizens, you have to do this, and if you don't, if you want to complain about it, it's going to cost you $500 to come and talk about it. I don't think that's very fair.
How long has that been on the books?
We've been arguing about it for a while.
2 years?
I can look and confirm.
So the Board of Adjustment process has been on the books for 2 years?
Oh, no, that appeal process has been established.
Forever. So and I say that simply to point out that we've had this appeal process forever and nobody knew because we didn't even do code enforcement. So it is a point, you're right, to look at it and say, hey, maybe we do need to make some carve out adjustment, but we need to be intentional about looking at and saying, we don't necessarily like this. What can we do to make it better? But I know that appeals process has been on the books well before I even came to Selma, North Carolina. And probably well before most of us were aware of a government of Selma, North Carolina. But we just weren't aware it was on the books because we weren't even doing code enforcement.
I'd like to know that we're gonna take a long, hard look at it, because one of the things I noticed in the email that we were talking about, how code enforcement will work, I'm very bothered by several of those things. I wanna know who's gonna be deciding whether something goes before the Board of Adjustments. And, I mean, there needs to be,
So anybody can take anything to the Board of Adjustments. with that.
okay, well, who's gonna decide whether it merits going to the Board of Adjustments? Because according to the email, sounded to me like you would be determining
No.
those things.
Anybody who gets a code violation, anybody under the sun can apply to go to the Board of Adjustment. So that's a
Okay.
decision made by the person that gets the violation.
Okay, but we're
And
gonna
it's
discuss
if
this
they
email
don't
before we-
agree.
If they don't agree with the
Right,
violation
but
they got.
most of the time, if you get a letter in the mail and it says, Miss Whitley, your grass is too high, well, I understand that. Well, I remedy the problem. It's not what the town wants us to do, it's just the fact that we live in town. And we have rules and regulations for code enforcement. It's-
But of course, this isn't new in communities.
No.
I don't want anybody to think this is the first time this has happened in a community. This is in communities across the country, everywhere. Some are more strict about enforcing as others. And again, it's been on our books for ages. We just haven't paid attention. So I'm glad we're paying attention now.
I'm sure there are a lot of us citizens who are glad that we're paying more attention. We're gonna get their neighbor's grass cut. If there's a building falling down across the street from them, I know someone, there was a building, it's painted over, painted over, painted over,
Yes.
and graffiti. Well, the laws and timeframes were followed. The building is no longer there. Nobody wants to live across the street from there.
And let's be clear, the vast majority of our actual population, by and large, hasn't gotten a code enforcement violation.
I understand. I just want to make it very clear my stance on this, because from the email, and I'm just going to go ahead and approach it, you said to send all code enforcement action complaints related to warnings, fines, and penalties to me, that means you.
Oh, this is an email from me.
If there is concern about the validity of a code enforcement action, I will then send to staff for review. I think we're opening ourselves up to a can of worms here, because you're the mayor, we have a town manager, we have a
Oh.
code enforcement person.
So you,
Why
you're-
would those complaints go to you?
You're misunderstanding. Normally, somebody would just not be able to go back to anybody. They would just have to go to the Board of Adjustment. So what normally would happen is if you get a code enforcement violation that you want to dispute, it's not for staff or anybody to discuss with you. You just go straight to the Board of Adjustment, you pay your fee, and then see if it works out. We put in a process, is it a year ago now? Was it a year ago we did the first grace period? Because we were like, yeah, that's harsh for people who don't even know what our ordinances are. And then over this last year, we have been very graceful in having these conversations and telling people, hey, this is what you can clean up, this is how we can help you out. And that's why we also, I believe, should discuss another grace period over this last year to say, yes, we understand this is new. Yes, none of us realized that there was $500 you had to pay to go to the Board of Adjustments for the last, I don't know, 3 decades plus to handle these things. We are being graceful, but I do think the amount of information that we have put out over the last 2 years plus about what our ordinances are and how Selma needs to be cleaned up, the excuses aren't acceptable.
Understood. I still, and Chip, maybe I'm wrong, I want you to kind of tune into what I'm saying. This to me goes back to delegation of power among our board. And, you know, our charter tells us what each of our jobs are up here. And I'm concerned the fact that things like this are going straight to our mayor. That's not a job for our mayor. That's a job for Philip, or whoever our town manager may be at the time, and the code enforcement person. you know, the boards that I sit on, I know where my sandbox is, right here. If I'm the chair, here's my sandbox. To the right of me is right now, the county commissioners and then the General Assembly. To the left of me is my director and her staff. I don't play over on this sandbox. I stay right in here. If I get a complaint, and I got one today, about something to do with the staff, I send it to my director. She takes care of it from there. I don't have anything to do with it. If it's something that deals with policy, then I go over the other direction. I just think we need to get our sandboxes straight, and everybody doesn't need to be in and out of the same sandbox. Does that make sense? I'm sorry. That's just the way I feel. I think we have a real problem, and I will say that when I brought up that this board needs to be educated about the delegation of power, you poo-pooed it and run right over it like we're not doing that. These people need to understand what they're responsible for and their liability in the decisions that they're
Let me
making.
ask you this question, because I do think this is a valuable discussion. Do you think we ever understood our responsibilities as a council in the past?
No, I don't.
You don't?
I do not.
Okay. Do you see other boards that do clearly understand their responsibilities?
Absolutely.
Okay. So with that being said, as we have said before, if there is something that you would like to do as far as a group something, please, let's discuss. But we haven't had that discussion. No reach out, no conversation, no email to the group to say, hey, let's do this.
That was something that Alexis was working on, and it came before us in January, and you said, I think we can skip over that. It was on our agenda to discuss. It was several opportunities for us to go to educational seminars, and you went right over it.
So what you're saying is you think the staff should work on finding our information for us?
No. Now, you're trying to bring this back to me. That was something Alexis was directed to do by the board, and she said, I'll be happy to bring that back to you. And we all, sitting up here, I know we have an idea, we said we'd like that. So she brought us several opportunities for us to go and talk about the charter and how that relates to our jobs on this council.
Well, let me dial it back because we need to keep going and I need to finish up my.
I understand.
With that being said, let's discuss what we can do going forward, but code enforcement, again, hadn't been done in a long time. Get back to it, and everybody in the town of Selma, everybody who lives in the town of Selma needs to understand. Police tickets question. I actually had this as something I want to mention. People run stop signs in the town of Selma. That's very simple. On a regular basis. And if we can't figure out the appropriate way to convince people that it's not a good idea to run stop signs in the town of Selma, then we're failing. And that's the end of that conversation. It's not hard. We like to make it hard, but it's not. Also, speaking of people running stop signs and running through the streets and all that good stuff, the amount of traffic that we are seeing in the town of Selma right now is actually getting to a point where it might be uncomfortable going forward. February 14th is our open forum.
Yes.
We've got an open forum on February 14th. Is it at 1 p.m.?
Yes.
At 1 p.m. If you really want to talk about the growth of Selma, that's a very free-form way to speak about how Selma is growing and really give some real direct input on what you see. As much as I love seeing the amount of people over at Eastville, it is also uncomfortable to drive down 70 and 301 now. And it's only going to get more. That's a fact. We need to have a very true, honest conversation about what we expect to see for our community over the next few decades. Honest and true conversation. Because I'll be honest with all of the interesting things we think to talk about, we need to actually talk about what nuts and bolts results we expect for this community. And then our focus needs to be on getting those results, hell or high water. I don't think I have anything else. Oh, no. Don, you're about to beat me up, buddy. I am so sorry. I do have something else. We do have an update to the tourism conversation that we had at last meeting. The billboard sign at exit 98 actually has a lease that runs out in 4 months, not 3. So that's going to be a total on that budget for $1,200, not $900. So that'll be $1,200 for that billboard on the remainder of this tourism budget, not $900. Got to make sure everybody's clear. Of course, our advisory board vacancies, we want you to sign up, we want you to get involved. And do understand results will be expected when you do get involved, no matter what. Town of Selma offices will be closed on Monday, February 16th, 2026, President's Day. Remember, Town of Selma offices will be closed. Again, that open forum on February 14th. If you're really interested, come on down. And the Town of Selma Soul Food Festival is coming up on February 21st, and that'll be happening on the Harrison campus of the Harrison Gymnasium. With that, I do believe we have some closed session stuff. Do I have a motion to go in closed session?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Chip, why are we going to closed session?